Hello, I'm DM Wisdom, and welcome to Agranak Studios. Today we're going to take a look at ShadowDark, the role-playing game from Arcane Library. We're going to look at the Player's Quickstart Guide. Let's take a dive. ShadowDark, the role-playing game. It's got this cool, old-school art, and this is the Player Quickstart Guide. It's an abbreviated rule set. They are developing a full-fledged rule set. This is mirroring what most OSR sort of games are doing, where it's like the very inside cover of the books are actually useful instead of just blank pages. And these are quick reference for, obviously, basic gear and gear slots and how you run that, what your player turn is consisted of, your difficulty classes, morale, dying, distance, and how they deal with distance, your movement, and spell concentration, what that is all about. I love this sort of layout, and it harkens to Old School Essentials, where you have a very bold title at the top, and very easy on the eyes reading. Here's the table of contents. It looks like there's over 58 pages, so this is where spells start, and then there's more than that. Actually, let's go all the way down here. 66 pages, which includes the Open Gaming License, or Open Game License. All the way up to page 65. It goes through second tier spells, which you would recognize as second level spells. So here is tier 2 spells and tier 1 spells that are all, I believe, alphabetized. LMNOP, QRS, yes. So they're all alphabetized, which is a great way to do your spells and lay out your spells. So let's go back to the top here. Table of contents. What is ShadowDark? I'll read the first couple paragraphs here. ShadowDark RPG is a fantasy adventure game where you delve into subterranean dungeons, caverns, and tombs in search for gold and glory. The ShadowDark is a vast network of buried and forgotten ruins brooding beneath the surface world. It clutches ancient secrets and dusty treasures in its rotting claws, daring fortune seekers to tempt their fates. It seems like it's dungeon crawl sort of centric with this opening here. Over here we have ShadowDark is rules light. It encourages quick decisions rather than hunting through the rulebook for answers. Something that I love about the old school Renaissance scene. Now, with ShadowDark, this is old school Renaissance, but it's also modern. It's got 5e elements to it, or just modern RPG elements to it, which is something that I love. I love the old school Renaissance, but I also love modern rules and the advances that we've made. And this game has shown me that you can marry the two, and it works out beautifully. Even Old School Essentials has ascending armor class rather than using the Thaco. So here's the basics. Describe an action. You can move. So they have 3 zones, which is things that are very close to you, things that are near, and things that are far. Here's your standard fare of dice: a D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, and D20. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Your abilities range from -4 to +4. They're using the standard abilities: strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. I like how they don't use skills. I think the skill sets should be mentioned like it is here. Strength is physical power. Dexterity is agility and reflexes, so on and so forth. Your wisdom is instinct, willpower, charisma, appeal, and presence, giving you a basic idea of what those abilities do. To do a check, you roll a d20, add your ability modifier, and that's your result, your roll. I absolutely love the artwork in this presentation. Very old school, but polished. It's not really wonky like how I draw. So here's characters, character creation. Here's the overview. Obviously, give it a name. Choose a race, class, level, experience points, alignment, and deity. And they do have deities marked out here, and we'll get to that here in a second. Your title, which cool. This is so cool. It harkens back to first edition. I love the title aspect here. Your background, which is basically what mundane thing you were doing before you started adventuring. Your 6 ability scores, your hit points, your armor class, talents, which are special abilities within your classes that you have at your disposal. And then it breaks down first level characters and what they're doing here. Your background, ability score, choice of race, choice of class. It gives you the page number. Really cool, clean design, fucking awesome. So here's the backgrounds. Like you roll a d20. I'm going to roll here with my big old d20. And I get a 7. So I was a wizard's apprentice. You have a knack and eye for magic. Let's roll another one. 16, a scout. You survived on stealth, observation, and speed. Awesome. Kind of gives you a cool thing. I think that plays in, like if you're having those many debates with your dungeon master, and they're like, you can't see it. You say, well, I have the background of scout, and I survived on stealth, observation, and speed. All right, I'll give you a roll to see if you can do that, or something along those lines. Here's a more in-depth idea of what each ability does. Fight with a sword, bash open doors, swim, important to fighters, so it's good to know. Let's look at wisdom, cast cleric spells, detect the hidden, recognize omens, important for clerics. And here's the ability score breakdown, rolling 3d6, and here's your modifier result on the right. I like how it stays with the old school feel. People know it, and it's great. And anything that is new is really intuitive with ShadowDark. The race is available: dwarf, elf, goblin, and halfling. Half-orc, human, and that's what they got there. And they each kind of gain something. So if you're a half-orc, you're a mighty. You have +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls with melee weapons, or melee weapons. A human is ambitious. You gain 1 additional talent roll at first level. More kick-ass art here. Let's take a look at the fighter class. It is on 1 page, a single page for the entire fighter class, and a picture to go along with it. So fighters, let's just read through this. Blood-soaked gladiators, indented armor, acrobatic duelists with darting swords, a far-eyed elven archer who carve their legends with steel and grit. I love the flavor. There's no paths that you take, as in 5e. Kind of create this person as you will. I like the free form idea where it's a discussion with your players as to where you're going. Some players like more concrete things. I get that, but I love this loose feeling of this game. You get access to all weapons, all armor and shields you have access to, your hit dice 1d8. You're a hauler. Add your constitution modifier, if positive, to your gear slots. And I think we'll get to gear slots here in a little bit. Weapon mastery. Choose 1 type of weapon, such as a longsword. You gain +1 to attack and damage with that weapon type. In addition, add half your level to these rolls. Round down. And then grit. Choose strength or dexterity. You have advantage on checks of that type to overcome an opposing force, such as kicking open a stuck door or slipping free of rusty chains. And then here's a really awesome thing. The talents. Instead of automatically gaining something at a specific level, say, I think they do it every other level, so at 3rd level, instead of gaining a 3rd level talent, you actually roll 2d6, which gives you a bell curve. So you're going to land typically 7 to 9, so you'll get that +2 to strength, dexterity, or constitution score. But if you roll outside of that, you can gain +1 to melee and ranged attacks. Or on the outside edges, gain weapon mastery with 1 additional weapon, or choose a talent or 2 points to distribute to ability scores. I fucking adore this. It is so rad. Well done, Arcane Library. It's such a cool thing. And I like that loosey-goosiness of it. Sure, it would be easy to just assign certain things at certain levels, and that's easy enough to do as a homebrew, but having this a rolling thing is just really cool. And then a little bit of flavor text.
Nothing swings better than a whistling axe.
That's from Yorben the Dwarven Fighter. Let's take a look at the wizard class. And you have a lot of those same things. You've got your flavor, what you can go in, rune tattoo adepts, bespeckled magi, and flame conjuring witches who dare to manipulate the fell forces of magic. I can't talk. Weapons, dagger, staff, armor, 0 hit dice, 1d4. Some languages, learning spells. You can permanently learn a wizard spell from a spell scroll by studying it for a day and succeeding on a DC 15 intelligence check. Their spell casting is not slot based, it is roll and casting based, so less spell pool maybe. Here's the spells known rather than spell slots, which I love. Spells by tier. There's 5 tiers that are laid out here. That awesome wizard's talent. So fucking awesome. Game changing for me. I haven't seen this in other games. It may be in other games. Let me know in the comments below if you know of other games that do this. But this is just such a cool move forward, I would say personally. To me, it ranks up there as awesome as Advantage and Disadvantage, which D&D did not come up with, by the way. Awesome titles. Let's do the fighter since we were looking in depth at him. So there's 3 different alignments: lawful, chaotic, and neutral, keeping to that old school feel. Let's just say you were neutral. Your titles at level 1 and 2 would be a warrior, 3 and 4 barbarian, 5 and 6 battle ranger, 7 and 8 war chief, and then chieftain at 9 and 10. Awesome. I just love the flavor. Does it do anything? Nope. It's just cool. I love it. Badass wizard doing some shit. Alright, gear. Breakdown of gear. You get gear slots. You can carry a number of items equal to your strength score, or at the bare minimum of 10 if you've got, say, a strength score of 5 or 6 or something like that. It's a dump stat because you're a wizard. You get at least 10. Love the simplicity of gear slots. I believe it's either Knave or Maze Rats that does the same thing, probably both of them. And I love the idea of gear slots. Wonderful. A crawling kit. So much like the kits in 5e, I love kits. A quick grab-and-go method for getting a bunch of shit all at once when you're starting off at first level and just want to make some characters and start adventuring. Your armor and the armor class adjustments. Weapons, the cost, type, range, damage. Some of these, like the Bastard Sword. And I love that you use Bastard Sword. I'm so sad when that went away in the additions. Bastard Sword. I always have a Bastard Sword if I'm a fighter. But the Bastard Sword is fucking big, and it takes 2 slots. Character names. Awesome. One of the most important things in any role-playing game. Having your character names. Level advancement. This right here. Very easy XP. I love this. I know it feels great when you can have... I know it feels good when you can have 165,000 experience points and it looks cool on your sheet, but this just makes things so much more simple. We don't need to overcomplicate this stuff. I love XP. I love leveling. I think it's something that belongs in games, personally. Just the simplicity of how much XP you get. So, To gain level, you need to earn your current level times 10 XP. More ridiculously awesome art. Gameplay. Rolling the dice. It uses advantage and disadvantage from 5e using that verbiage. Talks about the natural 20. Natural 20 always hits. It automatically hits and is critical. Natural 1 always fails. Luck tokens. Each player can have 1 luck token at a time. You can cash in a luck token to reroll any roll you just made. You must use the new result. You can also give your luck token to a companion. Sharing is caring. I love the idea of being able to save your ass from botched rolls. This game all seems familiar, but the layout is just fucking awesome. Crawling. Characters are in crawling rounds while not in combat, because they're typically underground. Resting, danger level, unsafe, check every 3 hours. Believe it's a D6 like old school, and then if you roll a 1, you trigger an event. Risky, check every 2 hours. Deadly, check every hour. So combat, roll for initiative, the actions you can take, melee attack, ranged attack, cast a spell, improvise, multitask. Critical hit. You deal a critical hit if you roll a natural 20 on an attack roll or spell casting check. For a weapon, double its damage dice on the attack. For a spell, you may double one of its numerical effects. Love that. One thing that I would say that I've adopted is not just doubling dice, double everything. But that's just a personal preference for me. Characters who go to 0 hit points fall unconscious and is dying. A character who goes above 0 HP wakes up and is no longer dying. Yay! Death timer. Love the death timer. In 2nd edition, we used At Death's Door, and it was you drop below 0, and then you had a number of rounds equal to 10. So when you got to negative 10 or beyond, you were dead. Dead. So, but here, a dying character rolls a d4 plus their constitution modifier, minimum of 1 on their turn. They die in that many rounds unless healed or stabilized. Casting spells. To cast a wizard spell, make a spell casting check by rolling a d20 plus your intelligence modifier. To cast a cleric spell, make a spell casting check by rolling 1d20 plus your wisdom modifier. The DC to successfully cast a spell is 10 plus the spell's tier. So a tier level 5 is 15 or more. So that would be, in this gaming system, the highest level spell you can cast. If you succeed, the spell takes effect. If you fail your spell casting check, the spell does not take effect. You can't cast that spell again until you complete a rest. So it takes certain spells out of the game, out of your wheelhouse if you fail. Critical failure. A natural 1, spell does not take effect. If it was a concentration spell, the spell immediately ends. So here's wizard mishaps. If you roll that natural 1, let's say you roll a 9, poof! You suppress all light within a near distance from you, including sunlight and magical light, for 10 rounds. So, wild magic surges. I always use wild magic in my games. I also roll for casting in my games. So, having these at your disposal makes the game so much more fun. Here's the spells. Let's just pick one that y'all love and know. Burning Hands. It's a tier 1 wizard spell. Duration is instant. Range is close. You spread your fingers with thumbs touching, unleashing a circle of flame that fills a close area around where you stand. Creatures within the area of effect take 1d6 damage. Unattended flammable objects ignite. Short, to the point, lovely. Most of these are just very quick explanations of the spell. Mirror Image is a bit more lengthy, but, look at it. It's still really not lengthy. Misty Step. Here's the description. In a puff of smoke, you teleport a near distance to an area you can see. Awesome. Easy. Good stuff. So, things you know and love. Such a great game. And I have to say that this game, ShadowDark, has really propelled me forward to really finish off my game that I've been working on. And I've actually started layout and design. I've taken inspiration from ShadowDark, from the likes of Mjörkborg, obviously from 5th edition. I love that old school Renaissance 5th edition vibe, like bringing it forward to the modern day, but still having one foot in the past as well, making things simple. I've got a game called Deathlord, the role-playing game, and no, it's not a ripoff from Deathbringer from Profession Dungeon Master. This is something that I've had around for years now that I've just incrementally been working on. ShadowDark has inspired me to move forward with my own version of D&D that has this O5R or OSR with 5th edition type of vibe, taking the good of the past with some of the modern approaches to gaming. Coupling ShadowDark with the likes of Mjörkborg and Old School Essentials and moving away from the more, quote, woke direction that Wizards of the Coast seems to be going, I'm pushing forward with my homebrew set called Deathlord. This has been something that's been in the works for about 10 years. Yeah, I know I'm a procrastinator, or rather an inspirationator. Yeah, I wait for inspiration to strike and then write it as long as I can. I've just started with the layout of the book, so we're going to see where it leads. Hopefully to something fun. Hey, thanks for watching, and the link's down below for my Patreon if you want to follow what's happening with Deathlord, the role-playing game. Later.
Alright, do this, and do that, and do this, and do that. And watch this video.